Welcome back to another episode of the Friday Bible Study. If you guys are joining us today, I got some awesome clips I want to go over. This is an old clip, old Joe Rogan clips that really highlight what it is we're going to talk about today and really talk about actions and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to jump right into it. I got a bunch of clips I want to show you guys. I think it's going to be a good thing. We're going to have a great time. Let's just jump into this. I've got a couple of sections of this clip that I have clipped up and wanted to show you, and I'm gonna just show you that and give you my comments on it. This is an old clip a couple years ago, but it's Joe Rogan on the importance of being kind, and I think this is gonna really help us focus in on what we want to share today.
Well, because there's a safety, because there's rules.
Yes.
And in the workplace, the rules are much more nebulous. And what you do to get ahead, kissing a boss is sabotaging a project. Is that part of competitive, or is that over the line? Whereas with jiu-jitsu, you'll get called on a foul.
Yeah, sabotaging a project. God, imagine working with somebody and they're sabotaging what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Go to the boss and talk shit behind your back about the project and what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
That's one of the most soul-sucking things about jobs, the fakeness.
Yeah.
The office banter nonsense, fakeness. I just think as a species, just the human race, especially us as Americans, because we're so competitive, gotta learn how to be nicer.
I think it starts with man.
And so that's an interesting clip there, talking about the office politics and stuff like that. We've been talking a lot this week just about different things of that nature, and he's absolutely right. Like, there is a soul sucking aspect to dealing with just this backstabbing culture that you will experience at work, and really I think a lot of people don't even understand how that backstabbing nature or even just that nature that they enact doesn't just destroy like someone else's future, but it also destroys your own. Like, it's like drinking poison hoping the other person dies. Like, it's going to ultimately destroy everything around you. There's been a lot of leadership books now. It's nothing new, talking about how they're now seeing the importance of what he's talking about, like being nice to people, being kind, like going out of your way to look out for your fellow coworker. All these things helps build not just the other person's future, but also your own. Like, you will bring destruction into your own organization, into your own team, into your own future, even on a financial level, by engaging in that kind of behavior. It's amazing now that a lot of people are starting to talk about that and see that even out of this old clip. But here's another one here I wanted to share with you guys.
I think we throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to religion, and even just rigid ideologies. I think there's something about religion that can absolutely help some people, and there's aspects of it that are very beneficial. Having that code to live by, even if it's because of the spaghetti monster in the sky, like whatever it is that you believe. But if you really act like that thing is watching over you, and that there's codes and tenets that you have to live by, like most of the tenets of Christianity, if you look at them, if you really follow Jesus' rule, which most people don't, but if you really did, you'd be doing a lot of great work. You'd be helping people. You'd be treating each other as if they were your brothers and sisters.
The needy.
So, another great clip here that I wanted to share. Obviously, I do believe in the Bible. I believe in Jesus and all that kind of stuff. But I do think it's a great thing to acknowledge that, what you're seeing is someone who doesn't necessarily have that belief system, but understand the importance of, having a higher power that you yield to, or not even a higher power, but saying, no, let me give you an example, like someone who is engaging in bad behavior towards you. Maybe they're being mean, maybe they're trying to take you out, and you tell yourself, I'm not going to respond to this on that level, because I'm going to hold myself to a higher standard. That's what I mean. Not a higher power, a higher standard. And that's where, even with our Friday Bible studies, even if you're someone who doesn't necessarily believe, like I believe, I do still think it would be beneficial. I do still think there's something to be had from the Bible when you read it, and you can apply that to your own life, because there are principles there that are really, really beneficial. In full disclosure, later on in this video, they go into talking about how they don't agree with the concept of original sin, and they talk about shame and guilt, and obviously that's where I disagree with them. And we'll just agree to disagree. I don't believe that it holds as much negative power in your life as this person would say. Obviously, you can always find arguments, and you can always find people that will line up with the point you're trying to make. But that's where I get off of this bandwagon, and I don't want to get into that aspect of it. I don't want to address that aspect today. I want to focus on these other things. So here's another clip here I wanted to show you.
How do we feel? Like, there's moments in my life where I feel terrible, where I've done something wrong or something or just failed, and I just feel terrible. And I always think when I do have that feeling, like, God, I hate this feeling. Why can't I feel great? Why can't I just feel awesome right now? Well, because it didn't go well. And this is like the psychic reminder. This is that jolt of energy that's letting you know, like, hey, you went on a wrong path. You f***ed up. You tanked this. You crashed that. You did wrong. Like, you're supposed to feel like so that you don't do it again.
Yeah.
But conversely, when something good happens, when you help someone, when someone can't get their bag in the overhead because it's too heavy, and you help them and you hand it to them, they smile at you and you smile at them, you walk off the plane, you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
You feel good. You got to teach that too. Like, you have to remember that. And you have to go, why do I feel so good? Oh, I felt so good because I helped that lady.
Yeah.
You know, I felt so good because I said hi to that guy, and that guy said hi to me back. And we looked at each other and go, you know, made some niceties or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's part of the joy of life,
right,
is those friendly, fun, nice interactions with people. But when you got
this is totally like correct in every way, and like, and that's something that I can completely jump on board with. Like, there are reasons now that why you would want to engage in that kind of behavior, and that's simply what it comes down to, is wanting to engage in that sort of behavior and saying, you know what, I'm going to choose to do this thing and go out of my way. But it's always an action. It's always something that's going to make you slightly uncomfortable. And when you do those things, and when you engage in those kind of things, it will affect you internally as well. I don't want to sit here and start turning acts of charity into selfish desires. Like, I'm going to make myself feel good by going to do something good for someone else, because a lot of people turn around and would say, well, that makes the whole thing feel kind of dirty in a way. However, it's been proven, and I feel like this is something it's been proven so much, I don't really need to provide links or anything like that to prove my point. Just do a simple Google search, and you'll see that research has shown by many, many research studies that when you engage in this kind of behavior, it touches you in a way where you are able to pull something from it as well. And I think that that's really important. Like, you're able to, say it's going to lift you up out of depression. And whenever there is situations where you are feeling down, or you're feeling defeated, and you're feeling just terrible, like, when you engage in going out of your way to do acts of kindness, and you stop yourself from doing certain behaviors that would be considered destructive to others, or now from what we're seeing, destructive to ourselves, those things will help you in that way. And there is a genuine, like, desire to go out of your way to do these things and to be kind to people and engage in that, because it's going to ultimately be better for yourself, and it's going to help build your future. It's going to help build the people's future around you. And it's really tied back into that principle of a rising tide lifts all ships. It's like, look, like, we can all lift up together. It doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to have this backstabbing culture. We don't have to have this culture in our workplace and our organizations where we're going to, do sneaky things and, try to one up ourselves or one up the other people and lift up our own agendas and the importance of our own self. Like, it doesn't have to be this way. And when you engage in that kind of behavior, you are poisoning your own future. So let's check out this last clip, and then I'll get into what I really wanted to show you guys today from the Word.
In order, it's easier to have those experiences. When you don't, my personal experience, when I don't have my in order, and I've made mistakes, and I something up, it's very hard for me to enjoy anything.
Yeah.
I just go through the motions. I feel like, if I have something that I up, and then I have that terrible feeling, but I have to hang out with my family, my kids, I just ride it out. I just have to ride it out. I try to be real friendly and real sweet, but I don't feel good inside. I feel terrible. And I go, well, this is going to go away with contemplation, with understanding. This feeling's going to go away, but you got to ride it out, And I know I can ride it out because I've wrote it out before.
Yeah.
But for some people, man, they don't know what to do there.
Right.
They don't know what that feeling is. They feel like this is their life. And then that feeling, if you don't conquer it, you get comfortable with it. You get used to it. You get used to failing. You get used to that terrible feeling. And then you start pouring booze on that terrible feeling.
Right.
Or pouring drugs or whatever.
Well, it also becomes like
So there you go. I felt that was very insightful. I felt like it was a very good conversation, and I think that's exactly what it is. Like, when you kind of see the steps there of what happens. Like, you kind of, like, he laid it out pretty good. Like, you have this feeling where you've messed up. You're dealing with failure. You're dealing with the things that you have struggled with. You're dealing with the situations where you have failed. You're dealing with situations where you don't feel good. And I would take it even a step further and say from what other people's actions they have done to you. Like, I'm not trying to make it seem like you're being a victim or having a victim mentality, but like, you could be genuinely dealing with a situation where someone has genuinely wronged you, and now you have to deal with that. Now that becomes a problem that you have to overcome, and that you have to find resolution in. And then it's a slope where you start going into those destructive tendencies. It doesn't have to be booze, it doesn't have to be drugs, but it definitely can be, deciding, well, I'm never going to trust anyone ever again. Well, I'm never going to XYZ, those kind of things. That is where it becomes a self-destructive behavior, and you're going backwards. You're going backwards, and I don't want you to go backwards. I don't want myself to go backwards. I don't want my loved ones to go backwards. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing and trying to help. But this is the verse that I was going to read today, and I've been going through each chapter of Proverbs, book of wisdom, and so this is in Proverbs 3:27 through 35. It's the ESV. It says, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to do it. Do not say to your neighbor, 'Go and come again. Tomorrow I will give it,' when you have it with you. Do not plan evil against your neighbor, who dwells trustingly beside you. Do not contend with a man for no reason, when he has done you no harm. Do not envy a man of violence. Do not choose any of his ways, for the devious person is an abomination to the Lord, but the upright are in his confidence. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. Toward the scorners he is scornful, but to the humble he gives favor. The wise will inherit honor, but fools get disgrace." And I think there is a way that you can go about your life. I think there's a way that you can go about dealing with people. There is a way that you can go about engaging with others that will bring on, so to speak, a curse on your house. The curse is on the house of the wicked. And you can genuinely engage in a curse that you bring over your own life. And I believe we see that played out in real time. I believe in that clip you're kind of seeing someone talk about that kind of a principle where you are cursing your own future. You are cursing your own household. You are cursing your own business, your own team, your own workplace, you name it. You are cursing your own children by the way that you engage with people. Do not plan evil against people. Don't contend with them. Don't contend with a man for no reason. Don't be envious of a man of violence, a man who has violent tendencies, not even violence as in physical violence. Do not be envious of someone who has gained everything by being destructive towards other people. It says, do not choose any of his ways. Don't say, well, it worked for them, I'm going to do it. No one's looking out for me, so I'm going to do it. Because you are going to curse your own future. You're going to bring a curse on your own life. It's not worth it. Later on in that video, they talk about how it really does come down to a simple idea of what kind of person do I want to be, and the choice that I'm going to make and what I'm going to walk in. And I think this is very simple that you could do, where you're going to say, you know what, just start with one situation and give it a test run. In this one situation, I'm going to respond this way from now on and see how it works. And I think that what'll happen is it'll be a domino effect. And I think that this is just very basic. It's very basic stuff. It's so basic that there are a lot of people that really won't respect text like this. And they'll look it over and laugh it off as if it's something dumb. Like, well, everybody knows that. And it's like, it understands that everybody knows this. I don't think anyone who wrote these words or understands this text would say, oh, this is something so profound that no one even knows. I think everybody knows this. I think the profound thought in this stuff is found when someone's actually living it out. Because that's what even Joe Rogan was saying in that clip. Like, it's just something that you don't see people actually living out. So if you actually take the steps to do it, and you actually take the steps to live this out, it says he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. Righteous literally means right standing, like being in right standing with God. But even on a basis of like what you're doing, you will find in your own life that it would seem like in the other way it would seem like there's a curse, and this way it would seem like there is a blessing. Like I think it's just a principle in general. Like you will walk in a way and experience the goodness of having people care for you, having people respect you, having people look out for your best interest, because that's what happens when you look out for others' best interest. When you put others' best interests above your own, like those people will look out for you. So I think that there's something that's very basic here, where it's like I've watched a lot of people laugh this stuff off and scorn it as if it was like dumb, and it's like, well, everybody knows this, and it's like, well, I wish more people would walk in it. Then if everybody truly knows this, then why are less people actually doing it? There's a difference there. And I think that you can put that into practice. This is one of these things and these principles where you can actually put this into practice today and experience the difference in it. I've had a lot of situations where it's not like I put these things into practice and I had an immediate experience. I was in a corporate organization. I was a territory manager, and I oversaw like 24 big accounts for this organization, and I had a corporate boss, and I was coming into a very tough situation because the previous person that was over, or they didn't have a previous person, so the one who was over it wasn't even in the region, so they weren't really able to take care of their accounts, and so the numbers and the performance of the region was down. And so I was going into this regional meeting with the very, very top executives of the organization. They were coming in to review, and I knew going in that I was going to have a low region performance. And so my plan was during my report that I was going to acknowledge that and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to just kind of like Red October this thing. I'm going to, do it right up front. Look, I understand my numbers are low, and I just want to tell you guys I'm not making up excuses, but here's what we have going on. This is the difficulties we're dealing with, and here's my battle plan to overcome those difficulties. And I believe by the next time I'm filing this report, by the next time I'm giving this report, my numbers are going to be way better. That's what I was hoping to do. And so I met with my director and spoke with her about, this is the plan. She agreed with it. She's like, that's awesome. And she's like, I'll let them know, and, I'll help you out. Well, comes day for the report, I'm, in front of all of these top executives. These are the people that would decide my raise. These are the people that would decide if I ever move up the ladder in the organization. Like, these are the people that, basically could say, hey, we don't like this guy, get rid of him. And, essentially, just to make a long story short, she flipped the script on me in the middle of the presentation and basically began berating me in front of the organization. And then they all joined in and berated me as well about how, I'm just making up excuses, and this is not, this is a failure on my part. It's not because of the performance of the region, and, I need to do better because everyone else is facing difficulties, so I can't come in here. And I was not taking that stance. But at the same time, she knew what I was about to engage in conversational-wise, and instead of allowing me to get there myself, she jumped in front of it and took it as an opportunity to berate me. And I think it was in a way to show her, executives and her bosses, like, hey, I'm taking care of this punk. Like, I'm gonna put him in his place, kind of a deal. Whatever. I take my lickings. I'm like, okay, well, and it was very difficult to struggle with. And, putting that stuff into practice where it's like, you know what, I'm not going to respond to her the way that she did to me because it's not worth it. I wish I could sit here and tell you that, it was all fine and dandy. And eventually we did have a conversation about it, and it went good. But for those couple of months, I chose to not engage in that way because I was angry. I was mad because I felt like she had destroyed my potential here. And you know what? I just was like, I'm not going to engage in this because it was affecting me. Like, I'd be sitting at home with my children, unable to enjoy the time that I have because I was thinking about her and thinking about work and thinking about how angry I was with what happened. And it was like, at some point you realize that saying that I said earlier, you're like drinking poison, hoping the other person dies. I'm poisoning the relationships that matter to me over this stupid crap that doesn't matter. And it's like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need to deal with it. So I chose to not deal with it. Not to not deal with it, but I chose not to allow it to affect me and not carry it. I'm just like, I'm going to forgive her. I'm going to walk in this way. I'm going to choose a higher standard, and I'm going to let it go. And it helped me more than it helped her. I just chose to be kind to her. I chose to act like it never happened. I chose to be like, whatever. And eventually we did have a conversation about it, and the conversation went really well, and she apologized. But I say that to say that there's going to come times where you're never going to really see a immediate effect. But I still think this is worth it. I still think this is the way to go. I still think that this is the best option. And I think it's very valuable. So I hope you guys get something out of that. Please like, share, subscribe. My favorite part of the week is the Friday Bible studies. I just love doing it. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for all your support, and you guys have a great weekend.